Welcome back, foolish mortals, and hello again. I'm Lorenz, the writer, director, editor, and actor of Night in the Mansion. That is way too many titles for one person. But this time I am back interviewing my friend Drew Calof. You could call this the InterDrew. He might not like that, but I don't care. And that's why you should call it that. You'll see throughout the interview that this is our dynamic, and he brings out this internet troll inside of me. The way that the Tessa interview brought out my directorial side, because it was the first interview and I wanted to come out as professional. Derek brought out my inner Star Wars geek, and this is the unhinged sort of thing that Drew just brings out in me as a person. So thank you for that, Drew. It's a fun conversation. Drew is playing Phineas, the hitchhiking ghost, so one of the most iconic characters of the ride, as well as Culpepper Klein, one of the more niche characters of the ride. So just the range on this guy. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this conversation. I know I did. So without further ado, here it is.
Oh my
Yeah, sorry,
goodness,
finish
that
that
was
thought.
loud. Yeah, you this is not the first interview, and yet you didn't think to warn me that how loud that was.
That's on you and your volume then.
Have you considered fist fighting me?
All the time. Anyway, hello
Cool.
everybody. This is another Mansion Cast interview. I'm here with my good friend Drew. Um,
Hiya.
Drew, why don't you tell the people who you're playing?
So my name is Drew Kalof, as he said. I am playing several small bit parts that
But
Lorenz has
who's
decided
the
to
who's
throw.
the major one that is
Okay,
announced on the Instagram?
the major bit part that Lorenz has decided to throw my way is Phineas the hitchhiking ghost.
I learned very recently that the Hitchhiking Ghosts all, not all, but their full names are Professor Phineas Plump, Ezra
That's
Bean,
me. Oh,
and Gus. Just Gus. No, no, nothing
Gus,
else.
no last name, like
Yeah.
Cher
Yeah.
and other
Yeah,
topical
exactly.
references.
The
Yes.
the the one and only.
Yes,
Uh,
the clear topical reference that all the kids will get.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Honestly, if you don't get share, like, what's wrong with you?
At that point, your parents have failed you.
Yeah, yeah. So we've talked about a little bit about who you are and who you're playing. Why don't you talk about how we know each other? And I guess that kind of goes hand in hand with how you got involved with the project as well.
For sure. So Lorenz and I met at UC Irvine
Dot
during
dot
the
dot.
Zot zot zot.
We're not a
Oh,
cult.
there we go. I know we're not cool in any way, shape, or form.
I said we're not a
Um,
cult.
oh, we're also not cool, but
Oh yeah, that's true.
actually, I think that's more just you and me than anything else. Um,
Several of the other anteaters who are involved in this are very cool.
yes, do not take us to represent the whole.
Yeah,
Some of
yeah,
them are actually quite cool.
yeah.
We just happen to not be. But I met
Anyway, I'm so
Lorenz.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm not. I met Lorenz during our time at UCI in undergrad. We met, yeah,
At.
at because we met purely online during the pandemic when the world shut down and nothing felt real. Lorenz was the first friend that I made online, and
Oh.
for better or worse, we tolerated each other well enough that once things started to go back to in person, we agreed to continue hanging out.
Yeah,
And no, go ahead.
I was like, I don't know how or why we agreed, but we agreed.
Yeah, that is a fair question. That's something I actually ask myself pretty regularly in
Yeah.
therapy. Um, but yeah, during actually one of these hangouts, Lorenz had pitched to me that, hey, I'm thinking of doing like there was something that I'd written during COVID and everything about the Haunted Mansion, and being a huge horror fan as well as a huge Disney fan, Haunted Mansion's right up my alley. So I said, yes, I am very interested in at least reading this, if not potentially getting to actually be a part in this if this ever gets off the ground. And since mercifully it did decide to get off the ground, thankfully it seems that I was one of the earlier names that Lorenz picked out, as opposed to being one of the last ones, in which case I would be a little hurt by that, but that's neither here nor there. Um, but yeah, since that time, the cast is filled out. I've been incredibly lucky to be a part of that cast, and it's just been an absolutely joyous experience all around.
Yeah, I do have to say on my end, I feel like I don't know if I've talked about this in the other interviews. I don't even watch them myself. Um, but I feel like I should talk about that on my end. It is kind of the humble beginnings of this project.
Yes.
As I have told the story I've lost track of how many times I've told this story because I've told it to everybody in the cast, and whenever I try to explain this at like reunions of ourselves and everything. Yeah, I wrote it in the middle of lockdown and everything, and I was being the Disney adult that I am, desperately wanted to ride the Haunted Mansion, but I couldn't because I lived in California and Florida was open, or Walt Disney World was open, but I was not going to fly around across the country to do that. Um,
Fair.
and yeah, I just really wanted to ride the Haunted Mansion. The only thing we had at the time was the Eddie Murphy movie, which at the time, like I badmouthed that movie to hell and back. But I mean, I appreciate that movie for what it is, but it's not. It's a fun family romp.
You say
Um,
family bump. You remember the scene in the crypt? That is actually
oh,
legitimate horror.
yeah. Except for that scene, the genre just shifts entirely, which I think is something that 2023 kind of lacked a little bit. It lacked a scene
Yeah.
like that. But that was the only thing. There was no 2023 movie, and there's no Muppet Haunted Mansion. It was really just the Eddie Murphy movie and YouTube POVs. And I just was up one night wondering, like, they said they were going to do this in Comic Con at 2010 with Guillermo del Toro, and like, where is that? So then I wrote this treatment of it, just a little outline of what I'd want to see happen in this movie. And eventually I liked that enough where I was like, I'm getting too many ideas. Like this needs to be a full script. And that took about like a month, I want to say, from like June to the end of 2020. And somewhere in the middle of all that, that is when they announced the 2023 reboot. But I was like, you know what? Like, I still like this script. And what are the odds that it's the exact same thing? So um, there's a couple beats that I think I predicted, but I mean, I feel like that's kind of like when you and someone else both write a Christmas story, like there's going to
By
be
Charles
overlapping
Dickens. You're
beats.
both writing that exact same
Yeah, yeah,
book
yeah,
by
yeah.
Charles Dickens. Yeah. Okay.
Um, I think okay, you're thinking Christmas Carol and like Christmas Story is like a
I'm
completely
sorry.
separate.
You brought up Muppets, so now it's on my brain.
Yeah, that's
So
that's
that's
fair.
on
That's
you.
fair.
But although to
But
be fair,
anyway,
yeah,
I digress. That I don't know if people are watching this is their first interview or not. If
God, I
they've or
hope
if I've
not.
you've mentioned the other ones. But aside from all that, we've talked about um how we met
Mhm.
and a little bit about the project. Oh well, I guess you kind of answered what made you say yes to being involved. You said you were like a big horror fan and you liked Disneyland and everything.
Absolutely. Plus,
Um,
I also enjoy just hanging out with you
yeah.
against my better judgment. But also Lorenz had also mentioned some of our other like friends
hmm
and like other people in our cohort at UCI who were also interested in this project, and that actually made me even more interested because these are some people that I had either worked with before and really enjoyed the experience,
Yeah.
or people that I had actually never gotten to work with when we were in person, and it was something that I'd always felt I missed out on. So that
Oh yeah. Yeah.
absolutely made
Me
that
too.
made me jump even more at the
Yeah,
experience.
yeah, and to that end, like I said, I had kind of started this as a way to be like to get this out of my system and like make a Haunted Mansion movie. But after I graduated and I had nothing to do, and I kind of gathered all of you, like I didn't think much of that. I was just like I didn't know any actors when I wrote this, so I thought this was never gonna get off the ground. But then I suddenly knew all of you, and then it was like, why don't I get them to read this thing? And then we all kind of read it and as healing as it's been for me, like it has lifted my spirits, no pun intended, to hear that it
Aha.
has that it's kind of healed something in all of you too, in that because I've had a lot of angst myself, because as mentioned, I transferred to UC Irvine in when the world was shut down, which is a terrible time to transfer. And I so the extent of my work with some of these people, like Drew, was
Yeah.
entirely online. And by the time I got to campus, like I feel like this is just going to become a therapy session. A lot of the focus
Tell
kind
me
of
about
went
your
to.
mother.
My mother's actually a very nice lady. Hi, mom. She's not watching
Lorenz's
this.
mom.
She is
Oh,
not watching this.
okay.
Um, but I feel like once I got there, a lot of the focus did go to a lot of the first years. Um, Rightfully so. Like
Yeah.
it's their first year at a big college, but like it was also my first year and my class's first year, my transfer class's first year at a big college. We had worked so hard to transfer, and then like that was it. So it's kind of healed that for me, and to know that it's kind of given you all the chance to work with each other again or for the first time, that's been
Yeah.
it's good to hear that from all of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But what I was going to say, you mentioned being a fan of Disney and horror. Why don't you talk about some of your favorite things in both of those spaces? Let's start
Okay.
with horror.
So horror is a pretty wide-ranging genre. There's body horror, psychological horror, etc., etc., etc. I'm a fan of all of it, but in particular, I'm a huge fan of like ghost stories and like, I mean, the interplay between the dead and the living and all that, all those fun tropes that come with it. It's usually just a really fun time all around for the sickos like me who like horror. So of course, Haunted Mansion is probably one of my favorite Disney experiences because it exactly fills every single ghost and haunting trope possible, but in like a relatively fun and cutesy and somewhat kid-friendly way, minus Eddie Murphy in the Crypt in 2003. Um, but also because also I just thoroughly enjoy like Disney ride storytelling and the kind of the whole mechanics behind how they tell a story in a dark ride.
Mhm.
Um, like Haunted Mansion is, I think, the pinnacle of that.
Mhm.
But then you have other rides like Pirates of the Caribbean, Monsters Inc., Rip to a Real One, and
No, it's
just
not gone yet. It's not gone
it's
yet.
not gone yet.
They
Okay,
delayed.
yes, okay, I rescind that, and I am at peace because Monsters Inc. is also one of my favorites.
Oh,
It's so
that's
cute.
nice.
It's so cute. Um,
For a
but just
reskin, like it's actually really good.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. Just the mechanics of how a story gets told through the medium of an amusement ride is just absolutely fascinating to me. And the story that, at least the one in Disney California proper, and the story that that particularly tells is just one that I thoroughly enjoy. I've of course watched enough YouTube videos for the other ones like the Mystic Mansion and
I'm loving me some Mystic Manor.
Mystic Manor is just oh chef's kiss.
I wrote it once 10 years ago and it's all I've thought about.
As well you should. When you entered when you like switch between that and the Muppets, of course.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah,
R.I.P.
just
Muppet Vision.
grip to a real one.
Also, I'm just gonna take this time to say, Goofy movie fans can stay salty. Your tears are gonna salt my popcorn when Rock and Roller Coaster finally opens. I'm gonna, yeah, I've activated the flame wars there, but I said what I said.
I was not expecting our interview to first turn into a therapy session and then just Lorenz entering the most toxic Disney subreddit physically possible.
Well, it's because I will say, I feel like they've kind of provoked it a little bit. Like they
But no one's
announced,
provoked it here. I haven't said anything to provoke you yet. This was
yes,
completely
yes,
unprompted.
yeah.
To everyone watching, I want you to know Lorenz is doing this completely unprompted.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair. Um, yeah. I before it actually closed, I had some things to say about Aerosmith, but now that it's actually closed, I'm like, I sympathize with you guys. But the Goofy movie fans who are like, it should have been Powerline, like, so, sit down.
For a little added context to the many, many, many people who are going to be watching this interview,
Yeah.
Lorenz will occasionally just text me out of the blue for no context. I miss Muppet Vision. And
Well,
on
you're
the
not
one
the.
hand,
You think you're the only one I do that to?
no, I'm aware that I'm not the only one that you do that to, but that also makes it more concerning that you're
Yeah,
reaching out to multiple people unprompted for this.
yeah.
And to me, the other thing that's a little concerning is the timing of these. Again, not to put you on blast, but let me pull up a text here real fast. Yeah, 3:21 a.m. I miss Muppet Vision.
Yeah. What can I say? What can I say?
I mean, I would hope you'd be saying honk shoe and be asleep, but I guess not.
Um, I am known to sleep text where I just kind of like I'm not even like fully conscious while I do it. I just like and then honk shoe.
See,
Anyway,
that
we
brings up more
digress.
questions. That brings up more questions that I'm not even gonna try to unpack.
We 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 digress.
We digress. Yes.
So we were talking about how Haunted Mansion was kind of the pinnacle of storytelling in like a physical space. Um,
Absolutely.
to that, I mean, I feel like I interrupt. I've been doing that a lot. I should
That's
stop.
fine. That's fine.
But just to add to what you're saying about that, I definitely agree. I think without you don't have anything in Epic Universe. You don't have um, Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey or Escape from Gringotts or a lot of what Universal is doing. You don't have Indiana Jones Adventure
Yeah,
without the Haunted Mansion.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
All I can
Okay.
really say is yes.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, you were talking about you like all the horror, every horror. You just love horror. And you
I
love the
do.
Haunted Mansion for just kind of encompassing all of that and putting it's kind of like baby's first horror almost.
It is probably one of the best possible introductions to horror as like an aesthetic,
Yeah.
as a medium
Yeah.
even. But also I think that one thing that is just particularly interesting about the Haunted Mansion is how it balances humor with horror.
Hmm.
Because I mean the whole I'm guessing a couple people here will know the lore behind the Haunted Mansion and how it basically has two creators. But
Hmm.
ultimately, what ended up happening was these two designers both had very, very different ideas as to how they wanted the Haunted Mansion to go down. One was being like basically straight down the line, actual scary ride, and the
Claude
other
Coates.
was Claude Coates, of course, and the other was just pure comedy and
And
slapstick.
Mark Davis. I mean, they
Mark,
have got to say their names. Got
of
to.
course. I figured you'd do better to,
Yeah.
give the proper
um,
homage.
yeah, and I mean, of course, they were in Imagineering, but a lot of people in early Imagineering, for those of you that don't know, they go. I mean, early Imagineering was kind of making up as they go along. We're not sponsored anyway, but if you're into this, like, I highly recommend Imagineering Story on Disney Plus. They were really just making up as went along, and they all came from backgrounds at the film studio. So like if you watch like Pinocchio, you will see their names in the opening credits.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, as Lorenz pointed out, there were multiple Imagineers at work here. And yeah, one wanted it purely horror, one wanted it purely comedy. And what ended up happening was they pretty much split the difference
Hmm.
at the seance scene, which is
Yeah.
kind of which I think is also just an absolutely genius choice
Yeah.
for kind of how you split between the tropes of like just horror by being uninitiated to the spirit world. And then once you are initiated, then it turns out that it's way less scary than you think it is.
Yeah, and I feel like I have to say that for in those early development years when they were just kind of struggling to figure out what the narrative of the mansion is, uh, they kind of by splitting the difference, they kind of accidentally stumbled upon like the best possible narrative
Yeah.
for it, which I think has laid the groundwork for, I mean, the Eddie Murphy movie and the 2023 movie and now ours. Um,
Don't forget the
yeah,
Muppets.
and of course the Muppets Haunted Mansion. I forgot my literally my favorite of those adaptations. Um, I mean, you could take the Muppets out of it, and I feel like it. I think it follows
It
the
holds up pretty
attraction.
well too.
It follows the attraction really closely.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, I wrote this script before the Muppet one came out, and I was surprised at how almost beat for beat it was. Obviously, the context of a lot of things was different,
Of
but I
course.
was like, "Hey, that happens in the." So I'm like, "Who in the cat?" Oh wait, no, the cast didn't even exist when Muppets Haunted Mansion came out yet. But when it happened with 2023, I would because there was a lot going on there, like well, the 6 minute animatic exists of that part of Act One where
Yeah.
Silas sees like the ghost in the mirror. I'm like, and then that happens in 2023, and I was like, who in the cast ratted me out?
I promise it wasn't me.
Okay, I've got some talking to do with all the other with everybody else in their interviews.
Please do make sure to re-interview Tessa and just grill her on that.
Yeah,
she seems
okay.
suspicious.
Oh, always, always.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
anyway, going speaking of Tessa and going back to Leota and splitting the difference at the
At the
seance,
seance, yeah.
I do have to air my grievance. Oh, this is just me airing my grievances.
As per
This is what
usual.
happens when Drew and I hang out.
I know,
Um,
right?
yeah. Florida kind of ruined that and put the Hatbox Ghost before the seance, and their explanation was just the worst. Like, he's not necessarily a happy haunt. Uh, like, come on. Any thoughts
Uh,
on that?
um, really none. Honestly, just
Fair enough.
I treat it as a separate story, and I think that the one told at Disney California is just told better. So
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Even though
yeah,
they're pretty parallel.
I choose to treat them as separate continuities, just for my
I
own
guess so.
peace of mind.
I mean, yeah, because one's in New Orleans and the other one is in like upstate New York.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense. That was one of the things that kind of plagued me while writing this.
Hmm.
But
Well,
anyway, kind of
I was like, do you want to speak on that? Kind of
on like
writing in the shadow of all these other stories.
um I guess yeah, I guess I can talk a little bit about that. Because there were so many stories that kind of conflicted within like Haunted Mansion continuity, where Master Gracie and the Gracie family is said to have owned the mansion, which kind of spun out of fan theories and speculation, even though Master Gracie was not supposed to be that big of a figure at all. Literally just a tombstone to pay tribute to an Imagineer who worked on the illusions for the ride E.L. Gracie.
Hmm.
Um, because Master in that context meant male who was not old enough to be called Mister in that time period. And that kind of got misconstrued as like, oh, he Master Gracie, that means he's the master of the house, which both of the movies actually end up following. So like I feel like there's no other Disneyland ride where this has kind of happened and kind of spun out its own lore like that.
Yeah.
But there was that, and then but in my head for years I was like, if the Gracies were the owners of the house, like how do Constance and George Hightower fit in? And there are all these disparate things that I was just kind of desperate to like connect and so that's kind of what the script is. For those of you watching who, when this actually does come out,
Hmm.
I tried my best to answer a lot of those things. And the way I looked at a lot of these things, and it's pretty. I feel like the common headcanon between the two different mansions is that they were both owned by the Gracie family, but they're not necessarily the same mansion, even though the rides are the same. The 2023 movie, I have to say, I love how they handle it, where
Absolutely.
most of the action takes place in the New Orleans mansion, and then halfway about through Act Two, when they're like Lord dropping the Hatbox Ghost, and they're like, "This was the mansion that he owned, and it's a little bit up north," without ever saying explicitly that it's in New York, which I don't think actually is in the movie because like that would take forever. But
Yeah.
but just a genius way to work that in. So
Yeah. They address the continuity.
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, the way I kind of approach this, I feel like this is the first time I've admitted this in like a public uh, setting, is that I kind of was inspired by how Marvel does things, not necessarily Marvel in like the writing of it all, but in like the research of it all. Where when Marvel adapts a character, they adapt a storyline, they kind of look at everything in that character's history and they kind of cherry pick like what's going to work for the story that we're telling. And that's kind
Hmm.
of what I tried to do here.
Yeah. I mean, having read the script and also, done a bit of voice acting in it, I'd say you pull it off pretty admirably.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
Now, speaking of you and voice acting in this script,
Yes.
um, is there anything that you did to prepare for playing such an iconic character?
Uh, honestly, I I kind of used a lot of my improv background.
Okay.
Because I mean, again, several of these people who are also in this cast with us, or with me at least, did a lot of improv work along with me when we were in undergrad. And so I kind of got in touch with several of them, including the other hitchhiking ghosts.
Don't say who they are yet. We haven't announced that.
Okay. Okay. Well, I got in touch with some of the other cast members,
Okay.
and we honestly just started playing improv games, trying to like figure out our characters, like what kinds of conversations would they have, like in completely different settings than the haunted mansion, and like how would we engage with each other? Would we have a history? Would we have run into each other? Would we have never encountered each other before?
Mhm.
and just tried to play out how our characters would work like that, and like what kind of voicing felt most natural or antithetical to the character, and which one would either produce the biggest laugh or produce the most interesting choices.
Hmm.
So there's another character that I actually play called Culpepper Clyde,
Hmm.
the sea captain. Um, he is featured fairly prominently in 2023, actually, in the 2023 Haunted Mansion movie.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yes, indeed. Um, and of course, I was slightly inspired by the Lighthouse by Robert Eggers with the vocal choices, but the antithetical tone of that character's, the timbre of the character's voice versus how that character actually acts and behaves, to me was the funniest choice of like a very gruff, grizzled, like hard living character just being an absolute sweetheart. Just absolutely brought me joy as like both a, you know, failed comedian, but also just as an actor. To me, it was just the funniest choice possible,
Hmm.
and it made me really enjoy that experience particularly.
That's nice. But I do want to back up and like talk about like the improv. Did you reach out to people like independently of like
Independent of
outside
what
of
you've set
me?
up, a
Yeah.
little bit, yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. Like that makes me happy to hear. Again,
Oh
like
yeah,
this is the first time I've attempted anything like this, so like the fact
yeah.
that you've all taken it so seriously is like, oh, cool. Um,
Well, I mean, you didn't tell us you were paying us until after we'd already agreed, so we figured we might as
yeah,
well put our usual work ethic into it.
yeah. Um,
Eh,
it's an IP that I don't own that I literally cannot make any money off of. So
but we could. Why didn't you pay us, Lorenz?
to just to clarify, I did
For,
kind of
for le-
specify that
yeah, for
the
legal purposes, this is a joke.
yeah, legal purposes, this is a joke. Yeah, like I specified that going into this. And because and again, that was kind of on me not taking it as seriously as I am now, in which like, oh, this is a little thing. And like I do want to say, I've been trying to make it up at like I've been
Yeah,
trying to reimburse them in other ways that are not might not necessarily
yeah.
be financial.
All jokes and gags aside, I think we all believed in this even more than Lorenz did when we all signed on. And
Yeah,
again, we all went into this knowing this was purely a passion project and like a work of love.
yeah.
And Lorenz was upfront about not paying us, so for legal purposes, he is in the clear. I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm not a lawyer, but
I don't think any of us
we
in the cast are. There's going to be a lawyer in the comments like, well, now I got to look into this.
yeah, honestly, well,
Yeah.
tort
Thanks,
lawyers,
Drew.
get at me.
Thanks, Drew.
Of course, I gotcha. Um, actually, now that you mentioned it, of like none of the cast being lawyers, I think I'm also one of the only people in the cast who doesn't traditionally do theater and acting as like kind of my job, or really anything entertainment
I
related.
think so. I think most of us are trying to make it big somehow, some way.
Yeah,
Um,
I already squashed those dreams.
what okay, I think you're the one in like the main circle of people who've been there from
Yes.
day one. I as the cast has kind of snowballed, there is an Easter egg that I love that is purely for me,
Mhm.
nobody else. Where the two dueling portraits, who are the two guys in the ballroom, pointing the
Who
guns
fire
at each
guns at each
other.
other.
Um, that is one of my adulthood best friends, Milan. And he's also in the entertainment industry. The other one is my childhood best friend from middle school. His name is Cyril. Who does he's in nursing, so he does nothing. And he has not done anything. Like he didn't go to college for anything like you did.
I
Um,
know.
but love both of those guys. And they've met each other and they like each other.
Okay, that's good.
They get along. But
It's
like
really good to hear.
I thought like this would be funny for me, on me alone. So I did it.
Yeah, as is your prerogative.
Trying to think. No, I think everybody else is. in theater or film or
or
something
entertainment in
somehow.
some
Yeah,
capacity.
in some capacity. Yeah. Um, yeah.
But yeah, instead I'm a scientist for
Uh,
whatever reason. I literally got my master's in
why?
neuro. I, honestly, just pure masochism.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Honestly, same for if you had continued
If
to do the
if
entertainment
I
thing.
continued in theater, no matter what, I was gonna suffer, and I better well enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got my master's in neuroscience and everything. So
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know if I made the right choice, but
Nerd.
takes one to know one, nerd.
Oh!
Oh, ooh, get roasted.
Oh, well, see ya, everybody. I've got to log off for the
What
night.
the? I'm not gonna swear, don't worry.
Uh,
Heck.
oh, that's it. It's all over now.
Good.
Um, but kind of going back to prepping for the role or
Yeah,
the roles as you have now brought up. Um,
indeed.
what you talked about some of the influences for Culpepper Klein. What what were there any influences into Phineas?
For Phineas, honestly, I kind of looked at the actual character design for it.
Hmm.
Because again, the hitchhiking ghosts have three very, very, very different body types.
Hmm.
And like kind of looking at the classic cartoon tropes of how a character with a certain frame would tend to pitch their voice or what kind of timbre they would have with their voice.
Hmm.
So, like, usually a shorter character tends to have a higher pitched voice, a taller character tends to have a lower pitched voice, a fatter character or a rounder character, I should say, tends to have almost more of a tends to have more of a swallowed tone.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm not sure I really enjoy that particular trope. It seems to reinforce some stuff
Hmm.
like culturally. So I decided to kind of try something a little different with those. So I tried to take Phineas, who is a rounder but also tends to be a shorter character,
Hmm.
and I tried to, since I naturally have a somewhat deep voice, I tried to only pitch my voice up a little bit and also try to make him pretty eloquent and even toned by comparison, which is also kind of helps me to play a bit more of a straight man to some of the other characters that I particularly engage with,
Especially the
who,
other two, the
especially
hitchhikers.
the other two hitchhiking ghosts, who are just absolute characters. I
And I
mean,
think,
like both the actors and the characters
oh,
are themselves characters.
I should talk a little. I'm going to mention a little bit about how we've been doing this mostly over Zoom, which means
Yes.
everybody's kind of recorded their lines separately. There have been a couple instances where, since I'm also playing one of the humans, I was like, I'll get the other humans involved in the scenes that we have together. Um, and I was like, I need the hitchhiking ghosts together. I need that. Like, how can I do that without putting them together? Kind of a mistake, a little bit.
What do you mean? What could you
Not.
possibly mean by that?
It was fun to have the energy, but trying to sort through that editing wise was a nightmare.
Yeah,
Um,
I would
because
apologize if I wasn't having so much fun.
things went off the rails very quickly.
You say that like there were rails to begin with.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you didn't give us a prompt. You just said go, and we just started riffing on each other.
Yes, yeah, that's true. That's a little bit on me. I don't know what I expected.
Yeah.
Um, but no, that particular session was very fun. I can't wait for everyone to see the blooper reel because there's some stuff in that made it into the blooper reel.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, yeah, I'm just, and it's funny because the Hitchhiking Ghosts are not in a ton of it because writing
Mhm.
wise, I think I can talk about how I was a little bit inspired by stories like Alice in Wonderland, where um, it's a normal human girl in this weird setting, just kind of moving from character to character. And that's kind of how I approached the Haunted Mansion because I was like, it's this giant house with all these rooms and 999 weird, funny, eccentric, sometimes downright evil people. So I think that's kind of an adventure
No
in itself.
spoilers.
Yeah, I'm not. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, but I think that's kind of an adventure in itself. So that's kind of how all the iconic ghosts kind of weave themselves into the story. Some of them have more significance than others. Some of them are more involved than others, and some of them are literally just there to have a good time. Case in point.
That's me.
Um, yeah, you and the other two.
Yes,
And I
yes,
think what works with the hitchhiking ghosts is that because I bring this up because you said you played it as a straight man. I think what makes those three characters work is that each of those characters thinks they're the straight man to the other two's
yes.
insanity.
I, I I would disagree with Gus. I don't think Gus believes he's a straight man in any way, shape, or form. I think he is pure chaos incarnate, and I believe
Yeah,
he accepts that role.
yeah. Well, we'll see when I talk
Okay, okay,
to them playing Gus.
okay. At least in my and Phineas's mind, Gus has absolutely zero inhibitions in any way, shape, or form, and I believe he embraces that.
Yeah. Um. So yeah. Anyway, I'm very excited about the hitchhiking ghost dynamic.
Likewise.
I think I nailed that one. But speaking of the hitchhiking ghosts, I'm gonna
Yes.
kind of open up this question. I asked Tessa and Derek this about
Mhm.
um who they would want to see play their role. So I'm gonna give you that question, but
Ooh.
I think I'll open that up and say, who do you want to see not only play your role, but the other two roles?
Ooh, so play Master Gracie and
No, yours
oh,
specifically. So
oh, my
Phineas.
roles. My
Yes.
roles. Okay, so Phineas
Phineas and
and
Culpepper Klein.
Culpepper Klein.
Why don't we
Ooh.
start with Culpepper Klein? Because
Culpepper Klein. See, here's the problem is I kind of played my hand by saying that I was inspired by The Lighthouse.
mm,
Because honestly, having Willem Dafoe play Culpepper Klein would be the funniest thing
oh
ever. Just like
yeah,
it play it completely seriously until the turn of the character.
yeah,
And to
yeah,
me, I think that'd be just the funniest possible choice.
yeah.
As for Phineas, hmm, that one's actually a bit more difficult because I've got a couple actors immediately coming to mind, but like they all would like either be lacking something or making up for something in other ways.
While you think about that, can I just say that when they
Yeah,
announced the cast for the 2023 Mansion and they said that Danny DeVito and Owen Wilson were in it, when that was announced, I was like, they better be playing.
the
Like,
Hitchhiking Ghost.
I wanted Danny DeVito to be either Gus or Phineas. I was like,
He would
that
have to be
only makes.
Gus. If you've seen him on Always Sunny in
Oh
Philadelphia,
yeah,
he would
yeah,
have to be Gus
yeah,
without question.
yeah. Um, but that said, I do like their roles in the movie.
Yes, I will freely agree with that.
I didn't know that I needed Danny DeVito catching hibachi shrimp in his mouth in a Haunted Mansion movie, but I'm glad that it exists.
Likewise. Honestly, like bit of a weird choice here, but honestly, Paul Giamatti.
Oh well, he can play anything and make it work.
Correct. However, I think that given everything I've seen him in, including like the holdovers and oh gosh, that like John Adams like miniseries from
Oh,
like
I haven't
way
seen
back
that.
when, it's surprisingly good for
Hmm.
like historical like reenactments almost.
Yeah,
Um, but I feel like he'd be able to bring like a proper balance of comedy as well as like genuinely heartfelt like empathy and like warmth to this character.
yeah, yeah. I
So,
think
yeah,
of the Hitchhiking Ghost, I feel like Phineas has the most warmth. I would say.
yes.
Excuse me, because we talked about Gus being the Chaos God, and I feel like Ezra's a
And
little bit more
Ezra,
aloof, I guess.
yeah, I'd say aloof and almost at times the way the character comes off is almost jaded.
Hmm.
Like he's just so sick of both of us, both
Yes,
Phineas and Gus.
yes,
Mostly Gus, if we're being honest here, but
but um, but I kind of opening up that question to you because you
yeah.
are in a trio. Who are some of the other actors you'd like to see uh in for those
Ooh.
two? I guess we talked about Danny DeVito as Gus. So I guess rounding out that trio of Paul Giamatti and Danny DeVito.
Oh God, that's already chaos.
Yeah.
Um, who would play Ezra? Again, a bit of a weird pull, but Bill Nye,
Oh, okay.
I feel like he would play aloof and jaded and done with our like antics
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. I will say when we talked about Ezra, um, during those sessions, Jim Carrey was brought up.
Ooh, that is also a
Yeah.
solid pull.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like they would both take it in very interesting and, dare I say, somewhat opposite directions.
Yes. And I think that's what makes it so fun.
Absolutely.
So with all of that, with all this thinking about Phineas Gus and Ezra and thinking
Mhm.
about Culpepper Klein, what if what has this changed about how has it changed anything about how you see the ride?
Honestly, it's made me want to, one, go on the ride even more, but
Hmm.
it's also really like it's made me want to pay a lot more attention to every single little element and detail
Hmm.
and how that might connect to, say, any like known spirit in the Haunted Mansion canon,
Hmm.
as well as honestly even some of the fan theories, which are shockingly kind of good sometimes.
My favorite fan theory, I don't know if I should say because that is kind of the premise of this script.
So we don't need to spoil anything,
Okay, okay.
but honestly, it does make me want to pay even more attention to every single detail of every single bit of set dressing, every
Hmm.
single ghost that we see, and it makes me want to like just kind of more interrogate what is their story and how did this make its way to the mansion.
Yeah, I will say that I get asked by some of you on the project, and
Yeah.
just friends who know that I'm working on this. Um, excuse me, when we're in the park together and hanging out, and they know that I'm doing this, and they're like, and I say like, let's go on Haunted Mansion. It's just a 13-minute wait, and they're like, aren't you tired of that yet? You've been working on this thing for like, well, 3 years since we all started as a group, but like I
Yes.
said, this has been living with me since 2020. They're like, you've been working on this for so long, and I'm like, that just makes me want to go on it more.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because again, everything. Yeah, I love that you said that because everything that has made its way into the script was me from going like, was that thing always there? Or like, there's a fan
Yeah.
theory about that. Like, what? Let me explore that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But speaking of fan, do you have a favorite fan theory? If you have any that you're aware of?
Again, my favorite one is also the one that would probably spoil a few things, so I will not be getting into it. But let's
Okay,
just say,
okay,
at least in this singular respect and in absolutely no other way, Lorenz, you and I agree on this.
hmm. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So don't let it go to your head.
okay, okay. Um, so I guess with that in mind, just kind of still speaking to your relationship with the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite memories of the Haunted Mansion, whether it's of writing it or just anything engaging with the Haunted Mansion, even like from afar?
Hmm. Honestly, like I'm not sure how to say if it's a favorite memory, but a powerful memory that is
Mhm.
very much in my mind was a an instance where the Haunted Mansion got stuck, or like I believe they were just offloading a guest, they were offloading several guests,
Mhm.
but they stopped the ride, and it was um during the Nightmare Before Christmas reskin.
Ugh.
I No matter how you feel about it, I enjoy it, except for this one section because of what happened. I was stuck in the same spot for 15 minutes.
Which spot was it?
It was the um it was the plants and the wreath.
Why did I know it was the plants?
Yeah, it would have to be the plants. But yeah, just the little clickety clacky of the animatronics. Yeah. Just
Oh, I'm not gonna sing the. I'm not gonna sing the whole thing. We're
yeah,
gonna
that
get copyright
hey,
struck.
yeah, no, Disney will get on you about that.
I'm already risking so much with this project as it is.
Don't draw more attention to yourself, please. But yeah, I was stuck right next to them for 15 minutes. And to this day, I slightly dread getting on it during the Christmas reskin on the
This is
horrible
why we
20.
shade Haunted Mansion Holiday. I'm just dropping all my hot takes in this,
I
like
was gonna
the
say,
Goofy
why is
movie
Lorenz just
fans.
turning into an internet warrior?
I'm very passionate about my Disney opinions. Um, like you can come at me with like a lot of things, like come at me with anything, and I'm just kind of chill about it. Um, but my theme park opinion, not just my Disney opinions, my theme park opinions. Yeah, I'm sharpening my knives.
You have multiple?
No, not really.
Okay. But yeah, to answer your question, that is probably the strongest Haunted Mansion memory. And it's like it's a
Okay.
really, really goofy one, but it also sticks out so powerfully to me.
I bet. I'm honestly being stuck in any part of a Disney ride because like no matter what the ride is, I talk up all this about Haunted Mansion Holiday. Even if it was like regular Haunted Mansion, like
Yeah.
if you were just stuck next to the singing bus for 15 minutes, you would remember that. You probably wouldn't like it.
Excuse you, I would always love the sound of Thurl Ravenscroft and the
Oh,
Mellow
that
Men.
fair enough. But I mean, like if you were stuck on
Bite your tongue, sir.
like I would love it. I don't know about the average
Yes.
person.
Oh yeah.
Um, if you were stuck on Small World for 15 minutes, um,
I would probably go swimming around in the water at that point.
here's another hot take of mine. Um, I if I was stuck on Splash Mountain for 15 minutes, I think my hot take is some of those songs were more earwormy than Small World, and not in a good
Yes.
way.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah,
talking
so
Splash Mountain or Tiana's Bayou
Splash
Adventure?
Mountain,
Okay.
like
So
traditional Splash Mountain.
are we thinking Laughing Place?
That more so. How do you do?
That is fair. That is more than fair.
I'm not a fan of that song. I think the song is just grating, and I feel like people. My hot take is that people will let it slide because Splash Mountain was a thrill ride, and Small World is not.
I mean, honestly, if they made Small World into a thrill ride, I feel like people would actually enjoy the music more.
Get
That's
your
all I'm saying.
Tomorrowland pin out, and like the Eiffel Tower is gonna scan it, and then the drop to the real Tomorrowland will open.
Dude,
No, this is very nerdy of me, but I think in the canon lore for that movie is that when they moved it from the World's Fair to Disneyland, they sealed the entrance,
and
canonically speaking.
as like, and what was the number of people that saw that movie?
5, and I was one of them.
Because you bought 2 tickets on your own.
Yeah, there are
Yeah.
dozens of us.
I'm kidding. I saw it too. I was one of those other 5 people. Um, but yeah, honestly, all of my other experiences with a haunted mansion have been just honestly just nerding out at every single little detail and just
Mhm.
enjoying the whole aesthetic of it all.
No, excuse me. Yeah, I
So
just had I had
what
dinner
I'm
before
saying
this.
is, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I burped a little because I had dinner before this.
Ah, thank you for telling me.
Yeah,
But ultimately, what I'm saying is that if Lorenz and I are to get in a doom buggy together, we will be the most insufferable people on that ride.
yeah. And I was when I did my college program in 2018, I was lucky enough to take a tour of the mansion. So like whenever I'm with a new person who has never been on the ride with me before, I'm just
Mhm.
like, that happened. This thing, like they. I'm like endless hallway, perfect example. Like if you kind of tilt down a little bit, you can see speakers because there was supposed to be like a footstep sound effect that they never got to work. Just lots of things like that that I'm just
Yeah,
insufferable about, or like yeah, just lots of things like that. But you
yeah.
talk about details and nerding out over details. Is there a favorite detail or favorite detail, favorite prop? Um, and I guess going hand in hand with that, like a favorite ghost other than Phineas.
Other than Phineas and other than Culpepper Klein, honestly, my favorite detail or my favorite like illusion that they've kind of created,
Hmm.
um, aside from the like in the most current iteration of Haunted Mansion, aside from the Hatbox Ghost, which is just an engineering marvel in and of itself.
Hmm.
There's a documentary on Disney Plus literally just on the making of the Hatbox Ghost illusion. Um, but there's one, it's a silhouette playing the piano
Oh yeah,
of the wedding march,
yeah,
and Here Comes the Bride, and it is so perfectly creepy, even though you're already in the funny part of the ride. It is so perfectly creepy, and I just love it.
yeah. It's like the wedding march, and then there's actual hints of like Grim Grinning Ghosts in there because it's in like the minor
Yeah,
key and everything.
it's
Yeah,
musically fascinating because it's also
yeah,
all entirely in a minor key,
yeah,
but how they're able to weave in both Grim Grinning Ghost as well as the wedding march is just so well done.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's kind. I think that's kind of like an overlooked ghost too. So like,
it
I think
really
that goes
is.
hand. Yeah. I feel like that goes hand in hand with like favorite ghost character and favorite like
Absolutely.
detail. Um, and just kind of moving on. I guess this is the last question that I ask
Yeah.
everybody. What inspired? I mean, I know you're in science now, but what inspired your creative journey and wanting to be a storyteller and performer?
Honestly, even though I'm in science now, I've always kind of been an arts kid. I like even in like undergrad, even in my master's, I was kind of the arts kid that decided to do science. Like both my parents were in performing. My dad was an opera singer. My mom worked in like visual art. And like I kind of just came by that naturally, but it was always something that I found more emotionally fulfilling than really anything else was telling stories and having an impact on how others saw things, how others felt, and if I could make them feel something, be that joy, sorrow, laughter, anything like that, that to me is the most, like, both selfishly very life affirming, but also just making others feel things is to me the kind of the quintessential notion of what makes us human is the ability to impact and like affect others ideally positively, but to exist in a social space and to be able to like influence and make others feel things is to me just what it's all about.
Well, sorry, I'm having a moment.
I'm sure you are. I know
No,
that. I know
that
those are.
was that was very beautifully stated.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Drew.
Of course.
This was I mean, as always, this was fun. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm glad the people got to this is consider this like getting to hang out with me and Drew because this
Yeah.
is literally what it's like.
It's actually usually a little more violent because usually it's me and Lorenz actively trying to hit each other as well.
Yeah. And then we like kiss and make up after the fact.
You haven't kissed me in so long. That's
We don't need to talk about it. We already made this a therapy session early on.
we're turning
We
this
can talk about
into
this
a
later.
relationship session right now. For the record, Lorenz and I are both straight. We just
Yes,
make
I
these
was
jokes
about
all
to
the time.
say. Yeah, you read my mind. You read my mind.
Because we've had this discussion before.
Yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, we are
Um,
both just theater kids.
yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah,
Well, anyway, like I said, always fun to chat with you. I'm glad we got to chat about
likewise.
this project. We hit a milestone earlier this week that I can't believe I didn't mention. We have finished a rough draft of the project. But if you're
What?
watching this, you probably knew that. Yeah. Um, so we can now listen to the
Incredible.
whole thing from start to finish, and it's not us doing the read through. It's
And it starts
everybody's.
right now during this interview, live on stream. No.
um, but yeah, that's a pretty big milestone. Yeah, with well, mostly everybody's performances. And there's stuff that needs to be done, but still,
Mhm.
like the fact that we have a version that you can start from beginning to end, I think huge, huge.
It's
Which
fantastic.
kind of goes back to me saying like I didn't realize that there was a point where this seemed impossible. There was a point where I didn't think we'd be sitting here talking about it like this. So to you and everybody involved, thank you to the people watching this and who've come from Instagram, or if you've for some reason stumbled upon this and you stayed this far. This doesn't exist without you.
Yeah.
I started doing this for myself, but I think we've kind of grown to a point where like I work for you and everybody else who is paying attention now. Um, so yeah, I have no words. I'm not going to cry about it yet. I will cry about it when we're actually done. But right now, I have nothing but gratitude for everybody involved right now.
Yeah. genuinely to both you, Lorenz, and also to anyone listening out. Thank you so much for letting me and all the other cast members be such a part of this experience. And I've enjoyed the process. Lorenz, I think you've enjoyed the process. And I hope that everyone gets to enjoy the final product
Well
as
said.
much as we enjoyed making it.
All right, so that's a great note to end. We'll see you all a little later. Have a good day, good night, whatever time of day you're watching this. And yeah, we'll see you when I'll see you all for the next interview, and Drew will see you all whenever we do this again.
As soon as you close the screen, I cease to exist.
That's true. That's very true, which is why I'm just kind of dragging it out now.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I want to live.